Did you feel he was broken after he didn't get that finish?
I never felt he was broken because he was so dangerous at the whole time. But in the third round, when I started landing those jabs, when he started finding his back foot, I knew something was different.
Ilia Topuria will look back and go, why didn't I let him up?
What about that 1 minute between the rounds? If Ilia had to come out with that 1 minute where they were looking at him and he said he couldn't see, Justin might have stopped him right then. Ilia had a full minute to completely recover that he should have gotten. Inexperienced doctor.
They overruled doctor who may not have been as experienced in this.
Mark said it was an inexperienced doctor. You gotta let them fight.
Gotta let them fight.
If they want to fight, you gotta let them fight.
On June 14, Ilia Topuria entered the UFC White House event as one of the most feared fighters in the world. Many believed he was simply too skilled, too confident, and too complete to be stopped. But by the end of the night, the conversation had completely changed. Instead of celebrating another dominant win, fans were asking what Justin Gaethje did to turn the fight around. Because according to Justin, there was a moment when everything shifted, and that moment changed the entire fight.
Many times I don't go in with expectations, so that way I can never, be surprised. And that's just the way I compete. And, he took the opposite approach. And I said it before on your show, when we go to 2, when we go to 3, you're going to be in hell. And that's where he was.
Oh, are you walking people into your punches without them knowing it?
Yeah, and that's why their face is so messed up, because I'm creating those angles and taking advantage of those half beats. Everything happens, everything in life, all the fights, it's in a specific beat. It's pop, pop, pop. If you can pop them and catch them halfway between, then, that is the game. That's the game that I'm playing in there the whole time. And it's so scientific, and it's so artistic, and it's so hard to see with the human eye. Even, all the years that I've done this, nobody has grasped the concept that there's a method to the madness, a method to the chaos, and I'm creating situations, and that's how I fight.
Yeah, you're an expert, brother, and now you're the world champ for good reason, and the world got to see it. Made a foreign lad throw in the towel in the front lawn of the White House on America's 250th birthday. Yeah. That's a huge thing. It was very late. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch it live. Okay? While you were trying to read that Declaration of Independence, I fell asleep. Okay, it was during your walk.
So I was alive for you, baby.
Yes, you were, for all of us, brother. We watched it the next morning. It was awesome, dude. It was electrifying. The event, obviously spectacular. Great way for it to wrap up with you. You should be the main event of every fight. We should say you have a 6-month ban from fighting, for medical, basically. You're not allowed.
What's fascinating is that Justin doesn't credit this victory to power or toughness. Instead, he points to timing. According to Gaethje, the difference was in the small details, angles, rhythm, and split-second reactions that most fans never notice. To many viewers, the fight looked like pure chaos. But Justin says there was a method behind everything he was doing. Rather than chasing a finish, he was creating openings and forcing mistakes. Round after round, that pressure began to build. And as the fight went deeper, the damage became harder for Topuria to overcome. It wasn't reckless aggression. It was calculated pressure.
Justin Gaethje's immediate reaction after beating Ilia Topuria.
Trying to enjoy this moment, and yeah, it was such a crazy ride. We had a lot of delays. A couple of the rehearsal. Again, I wouldn't recommend this to my enemy. We are some of the toughest people on this earth. Those body shots were crazy. I mean, he was really, really fast, but when he didn't get the finish at the end of the second round, I think it really took his spirit. And, again, I said it in the press conference leading up. I was like, he really backed himself into a corner saying he's going to be so dominant. And I said it. When we go to the second round, you're going to be like, what the fuck? When we go to the third round, you're going to be like, what the fuck? And, that's what I did tonight.
Did you feel he was broken after he didn't get that finish?
I never felt he was broken because he was so dangerous at the whole time. But in the third round, when I started landing those jabs, when he started finding his back foot, I knew something was different.
Alex Pereira's first reaction after Chael.
Justin made it clear this wasn't an easy fight. Topuria was dangerous throughout, but as the rounds went on, Justin adapted better, found openings, built momentum, and slowly turned the fight in his favor.
I don't go in there with any expectations. I had none. I thought he was going to be faster, thought he'd be stronger, I thought he'd hit a lot harder. I always tell myself they're better than me. And, it makes me push myself. Like I need to push myself to be the best that I can be, to perform at the best level. Feels damn good.
Justin's mindset is different from most fighters. Instead of assuming he's the better man, he prepares as if his opponent is faster, stronger, and more dangerous. That mentality keeps him disciplined, focused, and ready for every challenge.
I would put Justin Gaethje against Paddy Pimblett. I think that he's gonna...
You think Paddy's gonna beat Justin Gaethje?
Easy.
Wow. Really easy?
Yeah, easy.
Really easy?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a crazy thing to say because Justin Gaethje's a fucking animal.
Yeah, but he doesn't know how to grapple. And Paddy knows
But
that.
he's a Division I wrestler. He knows how to grapple. You don't think he knows how to grapple? He just chooses not to. He chooses to stand and fight.
I don't think so. Did you ever saw him submitting someone?
I don't believe he's ever submitted someone, but I think that's because he likes to just crush people. He likes to bang it out and fight. He used to fight.
What everyone likes is to dominate people and to win as soon as possible. If you have the ability to submit someone as soon as you can, you would do it.
I think that's your mindset. I think Justin Gaethje's mindset is to be the most violent person alive. The thing is, man, don't think that Justin Gaethje can't win. Like, anybody can lose in an MMA fight. People get hit. Like in Ilia Topuria, one of his early fights, Herbert caught him with a head kick in the first round. Dustin is always just trying to... This is a dangerous guy. He's a dangerous guy for anybody. He's always moving forward trying to smash you. He leg kicks you from inside the clinch. People forgetting, Gaethje's a warhammer, dude. That guy loves battles. It's not like this tactical, take a chance here, take a chance there. No, everything's take a chance. It's like from the very beginning of the fight. The way he fought, you're like, good Lord.
Yeah, he fights savage.
Like a pit bull. Like a pit bull.
For years, people have tried to define Justin Gaethje through his weaknesses. Questions about wrestling, questions about submissions, questions about technical limitations. But Joe Rogan points towards something much more important. The reality that Justin has always been one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport regardless of those discussions. Because what makes him unique isn't perfection. It's pressure, the constant forward movement, the willingness to engage, the willingness to force opponents into uncomfortable situations. And eventually that pressure starts adding up, not just physically. Mentally, every fighter has a breaking point. Every fighter reaches moments where the fight becomes harder than expected. The challenge is recognizing when those moments arrive. And many people believe that's exactly what happened to Topuria.
Yeah, Ilia's in the hospital. He's busted up. You know, I'm not a doctor, but his eye looked like he probably has broken orbital. I don't know that's not a fact, but I'm just assuming. And my plans for him are to go home and rest and recover and take his time. And you know, tonight was a rough night for him. I just want to make sure he's healthy and good, and not even thinking about him fighting again. Just want him to go home and relax and rest and heal.
Everything changed when Dana White revealed that Topuria had been taken to the hospital. The conversation quickly shifted from rankings and title fights to recovery, as fans began wondering how serious the damage really was.
The main event was the greatest fight of all time. It literally was the greatest fight of all time. Because the guy that won it, Justin Gaethje, was in many books 6-1 favorite, 6-1 underdog rather, which is crazy odds for a guy that was a interim lightweight champion, fought the best of the best, one of the best to ever do it, BMF champion. I mean, just super durable, real dangerous guy. And that's how good Ilia Topuria is. That's how good Ilia Topuria is. Ilia Topuria, in many people's eyes, is the most skilled of the new generation, and the new generation is the most skilled of all time. And Ilia was like the top of the mountain. And most people thought that he was going to be too much, and he was too much for a while. And he almost took Justin out in the second round. And then Justin rallied. And then Ilia, it looked like he got really damaged in either the first or the second round, and he was having real trouble seeing out of one of his eyes. And then Justin started landing bombs in the third round. Ilia had slowed down quite a bit. It looked like he had really tried to finish Justin in the second. And sometimes when you try to finish a guy, you just hit the gas way too much and you can't recover in between rounds. And Justin recovered, and Justin started battering Ilia in the third and fourth. And by the end of the fourth round, Ilia quit on his stool. He couldn't see out of either eye. He had gotten kneed into the body real bad when he was on the ground. Justin had him down with his two hands and just smashed a knee into his rib cage, and you could see him go like that. And that was the end of the round. And then he had to retire on his stool. And you think
he broke a rib?
That probably could have happened, but I think maybe more significantly was the eye damage. Both of his eyes were swollen shut. His nose was fucked up. He'd taken so many punches to the face, and it looked like perhaps orbital damage, like maybe he had a fractured orbital, because his whole thing had just swollen up on both sides. He was unrecognizable. And, the guy hung in there as long as he could, but when you can't see, you can't see. And when you're that battered, sometimes it's smart to stop. And he's a very smart guy, and I think he realized, I can't defend myself right now. I can't see.
Joe Rogan's breakdown highlights something that many fans overlook. Damage doesn't always arrive all at once. Sometimes it accumulates gradually, one punch, then another, until eventually a fighter begins dealing with problems that become impossible to ignore: reduced vision, swelling, fatigue, pain. And once those issues begin stacking on top of each other, even elite fighters start facing impossible challenges. That doesn't mean they lose their skill. It doesn't mean they lose their courage. It simply means the body can only absorb so much punishment before performance starts suffering. And according to Rogan, that's exactly what appeared to happen during the later rounds of the fight.
The guy he has zero quit in him. It doesn't exist. If you're looking for quit, you go into a room, it's empty. The quit room has no one in it. There's nothing in there. He's not going to quit. He can lose because he's a human, but he's not going to quit. And he's also been into the deep trenches before. The deep trenches of these 5-round, chaotic, insane battles. And oddly, he thrives in those kind of battles. He's described as the most violent man in the most violent sport.
This is where experience becomes incredibly important. Justin Gaethje has spent years fighting in wars. He's been hurt before. He's been pushed before. He's been tested before. And because of that, difficult situations don't surprise him anymore. Many fighters become uncomfortable when a fight turns ugly. Justin seems to become more comfortable. The deeper the water gets, the calmer he appears. And that's one of the reasons why so many people consider him one of the toughest competitors the sport has ever seen.
It was insane, and you could hear them roar. So you hear the crowd from here, and then you hear 85,000 people just fucking rah! You could hear it in the distance. It was insane. I'm a hyperbolic individual, and I'm always like, this is the greatest, this is awesome. That was the wildest experience that I've ever had in my 20 whatever years of calling combat sports. There's nothing even close. Nothing even close. It was the greatest night of fights of all time. The main event was the greatest fight of all time. It literally was the greatest fight of all time. Ilia Topuria, in many people's eyes, is the most skilled of the new generation, and the new generation is the most skilled of all time. And Ilia was like the top of the mountain. And most people thought that he was going to be too much, and he was too much for a while. And he almost took Justin out in the second round. And then Justin rallied. And then Ilia, it looked like he got really damaged in either the first or the second round, and he was having real trouble seeing out of one of his eyes. And then Justin started landing bombs in the third round. Ilia had slowed down quite a bit. It looked like he had really tried to finish Justin in the second. And sometimes when you try to finish a guy, you just hit the gas way too much and you can't recover in between rounds. And Justin recovered, and Justin started battering Ilia in the third and fourth, and by the end of the fourth round,
what makes this entire story so powerful is not just the result inside the cage, but what it created after it. Because even after losing in brutal fashion, Ilia Topuria is not stepping away from the fire. He is calling for a rematch. And that tells you everything about his mindset. At the same time, the conversation around Justin Gaethje has completely shifted into legacy territory. A fighter who was never guaranteed to become the undisputed face of the division suddenly walks into one of the biggest nights in combat sports history and delivers what many are calling a perfect performance. And Joe Rogan didn't hold back either. For him, this wasn't just a fight. This was the kind of moment that only happens once of watching this sport. A night so loud, so violent, and so unpredictable that even veterans of decades inside MMA are calling it the greatest ever. And at the center of it all, Justin Gaethje.
I would say definitely not a rematch. I mean, I made him quit on the stool. It's not like there was, he hurt me, and I think it was 3-1. I've been 3 rounds to 1. You know, in any election, that's a domination.
You will not get injured on Mark Goddard's watch. And this is known. And Ilia Topuria could continue. Now, that doctor also did his job. That doctor was a compassionate person that understood what he was looking at. He's got a great view right there. He took the swelling into consideration. He looked at it purely medically and said, hey, let's get this guy to the back. Let's get some ice. Let's calm this situation down. Let's not escalate. That's a great call. That's what he was there to do. That was a great job by the doctor. But Goddard doesn't just look at it from that perspective. That is a physical perspective where they brought in an expert, a doctor. You then do have a mental.
One of the most debated aspects of this fight wasn't even the punches. It was the moment the fight was allowed to continue, because inside the cage, there are two realities happening at the same time. The medical perspective and the fighting perspective. From a doctor's point of view, the priority is safety, reduce damage, stop escalation, protect the athlete. But from the referee's side, especially someone controlling the pace of a championship fight, the question becomes different. Who is still able to continue? And who still has the will to continue? That tension is exactly what made this moment so controversial, because nobody was making a simple decision. They were balancing danger against desire.
But you would be misunderstanding. What ended that fight, what brought that fight to conclusion was the final double leg takedown attempt by Ilia. The final attempt where idiots call it a leg dive. When he went for the leg dive, the double leg takedown, and almost got it, and Gaethje's hips turned, and then Gaethje turned his hips back over, squared up, and stopped that effort. That is the moment when we're all done. There was mentally and physically, that was the final effort. Ilia continued. He used that final leg dive. That was his last bit of energy, but also mentally. Also mentally. And that's something that's very hard for a doctor to see. It's very hard for anybody to see that hasn't done it. But there is a time in a cage fight when you will acquiesce to your opponent. You will concede. You've got me. And from that moment on, do you finish the fight? Do you stall it out? Can you time up? Can you protect yourself? Do you flick it? There's all sorts of options, but there is a time when you mentally are done.
According to Chael Sonnen, the real turning point of this fight wasn't a punch, or a kick, or even the visible damage. It was something much more subtle, the final attempt to change levels, the final desperate shot for control. Because when that moment failed, everything else collapsed. Physically and mentally, that was the point where the fight stopped being competitive, not because of a single strike, but because there was nothing left to offer in return. And from that moment on, it was no longer about winning. It was about surviving long enough to hear the bell. Sonnen also emphasizes something important here. The referee didn't just see damage. He saw intent. He saw whether a fighter still had the ability to continue defending himself intelligently. And once that disappears, the fight naturally reaches its end, not as a controversial stoppage, but as a conclusion to exhaustion.